program is the Active Center.
All right, today we're going to do something I think is really cool. We're taking a brilliant business idea and we're going to tear apart the actual plan that turns that little spark into a real breathing thing. Let's get into it. Come on, I think a lot of us have, right? You're out with your friends, you're looking around and you think, you know what? I could do this and I could do it better. But how do you actually get from that thought to a solid plan you could take to a bank? That's what we're going to figure out. So, we've gotten our hands on a full business plan for a place called Sepp's Place, which is an upscale casual cantina. And we're going to walk through this thing piece by piece, from the big idea all the way down to the dollars and cents. Okay, first things first, you gotta have a concept. But not just, hey, let's open a bar. You need to know exactly where you fit. What's your angle? What makes you special? This visual just nails how Sepp's Place was born. On one end of the spectrum, you've got the classic gritty sports bar. It's loud, the floor's a little sticky, you know the vibe. On the other end, you have the super high-end lounge that feels kinda stuffy. Sepp's Place is aiming right for that perfect sweet spot in the middle. And that's the magic, right? It's not just another sports bar. It's designed to be a place for people to get together and watch stuff. Not just the big game, but also season finales of huge TV shows or even classic movies. It's all about mixing that comfy living room feel with food and drinks that are way, way better than what you'd expect. An idea is fantastic, but to be a real business, you've got to handle the legal stuff. Now, I know this part can seem super intimidating, but the plan here breaks it down into clear, totally manageable steps. So, the plan goes with an LLC, a limited liability company, and this is a perfect example of why it's so popular. Here's the most important thing you need to know. It builds a wall between the business's money and your personal money. So, if the business has debt, they can't come after your house or your car. That is huge. So, what about the name Sepp's Place? Well, to use a name that isn't your own legal name, you file something called a DBA, or doing business as. And it's actually a pretty simple 4-step process. You file some paperwork, check to make sure nobody else has the name, pay a little fee, and publish it. Boom, you're officially in business. Okay, so you're legal, you've got your concept. Now for the million-dollar question. How do you get people in the door? Let's dig into the strategy for winning over customers. You can't be everything to everyone, and Sepp's Place knows this. It is laser-focused on young professionals who want something a little more sophisticated than a dive bar. And I love this term here, a third place. It's that spot that isn't home and it isn't work. It's your community hub. A competitive analysis like this is absolutely crucial. It lines up Sepp's Place against the usual suspects. But look at that last column, home streaming. This is so smart. The plan recognizes that the biggest competition isn't another bar down the street, it's your couch. The whole goal is to give you an experience you just can't get at home. So, how do you beat the couch? With a modern, focused plan. We're not talking about ads in the newspaper here. We're talking about stuff that looks amazing on Instagram and TikTok. We're talking about creating events like watch parties that people have to show up for, and a smart happy hour to grab people right as they're getting off work. All right, now we get into the nitty-gritty, the day-to-day. This is where that beautiful, shiny concept gets real and has to actually work. So the product has to deliver on that upscale casual promise, right? We're not talking frozen wings from a bag. By serving gourmet comfort food like Wagyu beef sliders and truffle fries, the business totally justifies that slightly higher price point and gives you that premium experience it's been talking about. And this is the engine that makes the whole thing run. The plan spells out the exact hours, the key people you need at the core, like your general manager and bar manager, and then the floor staff for every single shift. Every job has a purpose. It's all laid out. All right, here we go. This is the moment of truth. We've seen the great idea, the legal stuff, the marketing, the day-to-day, but does the math actually work? Does it make money? Let's talk about the money you need to start. The plan needs about $170,000, but it's not just some random number. It's broken down into exactly what's needed. All the kitchen gear, that incredibly important liquor license, and of course, the awesome AV system that's at the heart of the whole concept. And this is the payoff. In the first year, the plan expects to bring in $750,000 in revenue. Now against that, you've got your two biggest expenses. Cost of goods, that's all your food and booze, and your labor. And look, those percentages are right in line with industry standards. That tells you this plan is grounded in reality, not just wishful thinking. So what does it all boil down to? This number right here, the break-even point. This is how long it takes to earn back every single penny of that initial investment. Hitting that mark in just over 8 months, that's an incredibly powerful number. That's what makes an investor really pay attention. And in the end, it all comes back to this, the mission statement. Every single decision we just looked at, from being an LLC to the Wagyu sliders to that AV system, it's all in service of this one single idea. So there you have it. We've completely deconstructed a business plan, from a simple thought all the way to a financially solid blueprint. It just goes to show you that with some clear thinking and a solid plan, any great idea has a real shot. The only question left is, what would your blueprint look like?
Program is The Active Center. It's created by David Sappe.
Pronounced Seppi.
Pronounced Seppi.